Good morning, it's Shanna. We are going to do a July wrap-up today, and we'll see how long the candle stays lit because I don't want to catch anything on fire. So basically, now that I've done this a couple of times, I think I have the format down. So I have notes, I have everything here, I think. So there's a lot to go over, so we're just going to jump in and get started. And as usual, if you can hear my washer, so very sorry. It is laundry day here at my house. So first things first, let's go over my card of the month. Oops, wrong planner. So every month at the beginning of the year, I did a year ahead spread, and I picked one card for every month of 2024, as one does. And my card this month was the Six of Swords. So generally I don't put a lot of stock into this. Like, it's not, predictive or anything. Oops, we're just gonna bump, hold on. That cord was right there. Okay. We'll see, okay. I don't put a lot of predictive thought into the card of the month. This is from Joie de Vie. However, I enjoy the concept of it. While I don't put a lot of stock into it, I do enjoy seeing if things add up, right? So basically every month I will print out my card that's for that month, and I print it on the Canon mini printer that makes the stickers. I will try to remember to link that, but it's Googleable. So I print that out, and then somewhere in my journal for the month I will stick it, just so I have it and can kind of reference it throughout the month. If anything happens that I feel like it's relevant, it's something I can journal about, which is always nice because I don't always have something I want to journal about. So this month, the Six of Swords was definitely relevant. I felt like it pointed to a couple of things that went on with me this month, which we don't necessarily need to get into, but yeah, it's fun. Honestly, this year has been really good for my card. Actually, since I started doing this, I started it a couple years ago, I want to say. And to be completely frank, most of the time they're pretty accurate. And sure, you can say that you can find meaning in just about anything, but that's not why we're here, right? We're here to read tarot and get information and grow from it. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm utilizing the card of the month to keep things in mind and to be more mindful. So yeah, that is my card of the month. And if nothing else, it helps me make a transition every single month, from one month to the next of going, okay, well, that energy is done. Now I can move on to the next month's energy, which for me is helpful. Just kind of moving past things, especially when, there's been particularly hard things that maybe have happened, or overwhelming things, or even if it's really good things, being able to classify them as something good that happened and recognizing it for what it was, and then being able to move on to the next, whatever it is, right? So all of that being said, very long explanation. My camera's gonna shake here for a second. I'm trying to keep the cord out of the fire, imagine. Okay, we're gonna get shaky. Actually, I'll pause, hold please. Okay, I'm back. I think I'm set. Okay. So next, let's go over decks that I brought in. There is a very large stack, which since I started writing down what I'm bringing in every month, I'm a little surprised by how much I'm bringing in. But none of it feels excessive. Like, it's stuff that I have wanted or that I genuinely feel like I could use for a particular practice or a certain pairing. So none of this feels excessive. You know, my collection is still within the realm of comfort for me. So all of that being said, let's get started. I won't do full flip throughs of any of these. We'll just do a few cards, and this is not really my art style. It's pretty, objectively it's pretty. Say the artist, Brendan Marnell. So like I said, it's not super my style. I love the colors. I hate to say it's not my style. Like, I guess in my head I have a style, but as we've seen, if you've been here a minute, I've been branching out from that a little bit, which has been nice and surprising. And actually there's a couple other decks that I've brought in this month that are similar in style to this. So the biggest reason I brought this in was because I live in the Pacific Northwest. I live in Oregon, and it's one of those decks that I knew if it went out of print, I'd be bummed, you know, or if we moved at some point away from the Pacific Northwest, it would be kind of a nostalgic deck for me. So the cardstock is nice. It's a matte, but it's kind of like a satiny kind of matte. It doesn't feel rough. It's smooth. So yeah, I don't know. I like the deck, and the artwork's cool. And I honestly, now that I'm looking at it, this would be really pretty, I think, with potentially the Southern Botanic, and probably, what's the other one by that creator? Southern Gothic, maybe? Anyway, I like it. It's nice artwork. It's beautiful artwork. I don't want to make it, you know, I don't want to trivialize it by any means. So, yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't even popped this open to work with it. The edges came this color. It's kind of like a steel gray. I don't think I've even looked at the guidebook. I feel bad saying that. This isn't a deck that I won't use. I just haven't this month. So yeah, it has potential. Let's go with that. All right, next. This is another one that is similar in art style, I feel, Under the Oak. So this one is one that ever since I saw it come out, which I think has been only a month now since it's been released, I've been intrigued by it. The artwork's beautiful. As you can see, it's very similar in style, I think. Not knowing art styles, I think it's very similar to the Pacific Northwest as far as style, I guess. I don't know. If I knew more about art, I would be able to more articulately? I would be more articulate in explaining what I'm trying to say. However, I kind of held off a whole couple of weeks, right? Because again, it's a brand new deck, but I held off thinking, you know, it's just, how will I use this? It's a young girl, so I wasn't sure I would resonate with it necessarily. I love this card. I love that there's masculine energy in it. And someone was doing just a quick flip through of it. I don't remember who it was. It's relatively irrelevant. But I saw a couple of the cards with this girl, and I know which card it was. It's probably, I don't know. We're gonna find it, because that's what we do here. And then you'll get a quick flip through of it in the process. As soon as I find it, I think this one's beautiful too. I like this one a lot. This one. The second I saw this card, I knew I needed to get the deck for inner child work. I'm just talking about it gives me goosebumps. If you've been around a minute, I've talked a couple of times about, you know, kind of struggling as a kid in ways that maybe, at least I felt, were more of a struggle than some kids go through. And I feel like this speaks very much to the energy of who I felt I was as a kid. So that was a long-winded way to say I'm super into this deck. So I'm excited to use it. I have tried to do inner child work previously with the Playful Heart Tarot, and it just doesn't really work for me. We'll kind of get into that in a minute because that's another deck I've used this month, which is another concept here. Lost my train of thought. Anyway, I haven't found a deck that I have liked to use for inner child work, and it's something that I do want to explore and practice, so I'm excited to have this one as an option. Now, obviously, this is not a guarantee that, this deck will work for me for that particular practice, but I think it will, and I'm excited. So, okay, next that I brought in is the White Newman. This is one that I've been looking at for quite a while. It's been out, I don't know, for a while. Looks like maybe 2021. I think that's what that number is. Again, not really my art style, but I adore this. I adore it. There's a couple other decks that have come out recently that are so similar to this, and I've been tempted. One of them, and this one hasn't come out recently, but the Sasarabito Tarot. This artwork reminds me of that a lot. And the most recent deck, Journey Tarot, this reminds me of that. There's just this, oh my goodness, I'm stuttering. The style, the art style, I don't know. I don't know what this art style is, but I really like it. And I like the texture of the cards. I like that it's kind of shiny. I don't have a ton of shiny decks. It seems like it's not really the trend right now. And I'm not sure how I'll use this. I have discovered that generally I like to have at least some kind of loose. I like to put my decks in a box, right? Like the proverbial box. I like to have it, I like to give it a job. Let's put it that way. Whether that's its only job, not necessarily, or whether I only use that deck for that job is, oh my gosh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Some decks have a specific job and that's all I use them for. Other decks I use for a specific job, but I also use other decks for that as well. So I'm not sure where this is going to fit, but I'm excited to have it. I think it's beautiful. I love the colors. I love the energy of it. And it was like, I don't know, $16 on Amazon. So it definitely feels that, checks the box for my curiosity with Sasarabito, because I don't really love all the cards in that, and so I kind of went back and forth, but I think this scratches that itch, right? And then the same with the Journey Tarot. There's a handful of cards that I think are gorgeous in that deck, but for the most part, it's not really one that I feel like I need to get, especially where this fills that spot for me. So it reminds me a lot of the Dreaming Way Tarot, and I don't know why specifically, but I adore it and it's beautiful and I'm excited to use it. So that is the White Newman. Oh, let me show you the book because I was impressed. I did not realize these boxes. Come on, let's just discuss for a second. Printers, publishers, whomever. This is silly. Like, just make the box fit. Just make the book and the cards the same size, or do a lid box where the cards can fit in their little nest and this can sit on top. This is so annoying. All of that being said, it's a little hardback book with beautiful, end papers, and I'm impressed. It's not a huge write-up, but honestly, a lot of the time, I appreciate that. Sometimes it's fun to have a big write-up, if I want to dig deep into a deck, but not always. And I'll just go in, just like that. Also, do you like my new tarot cloth? I actually bought it a few months ago, but I bought it with the intent to use for the month of August, so here we are. And yes. I think you could still get away with this kind of box and have the cards sit in the little nest with the book on top and still have this kind, right? Like, but just, this is so annoying. Stop doing this. Okay, next deck we have, again, I said it at my last video, I'll say it again, this is not a plug for my deck, but it is one that arrived in the month of July, so I'm bringing it out. And I know I'm allowed to talk about it 100%. It's not that I'm uncomfortable talking about it, I just don't want anyone to feel like, oh my God, we're gonna talk about it again. And I don't feel that way if you've created a deck and you talk about it on your channel. I don't feel that way about yours either. It's just the thoughts in my head. So with that out of the way, super quick flip. This came, I did not have a final edition of this deck until the main printing went out to everyone. So I'm thrilled to have it. I don't have writing on this like my other copies. Having a final version of the field guide, the guidebook, which is a field guide, is nice to have. And I tucked in the little feather that I found in the Audubon book that I checked out from the library when I was taking pictures for my Kickstarter. So that's fun to have, just a little treat in there. So that is the Little Bird Tarot. Quick note, it seems like, I believe, the final shipment, I could be mistaken, I have not gone in and verified this, but I believe the final shipment from the printer went out early last week. So everyone should be receiving their decks, other than, I know they told me like that Estonia would be, you know, a couple weeks longer than everyone else. And a couple people have reached out to me who didn't complete their surveys, so I wasn't able to get their deck out, you know, with everyone else's. So besides those couple of little things, I think most everyone has received their deck. That'll probably be my next week's project, is going in to make sure that that their tracking shows that everything's been delivered. So once that's done and I have the energy, I will be putting these up on my Etsy shop. So, okay. Next deck that I brought in is the Elvine Ask Us Anything. I went over this deck, oops, books are falling. I went over this deck a couple videos ago. To be honest, I don't remember what it was about. Oh, I think it was just a flip through, right? I just did a flip through of this. So this is such an interesting, cool, outside of the box deck for me. It's not something I normally would be drawn towards, but every once in a while, you know, I just want all the decks from a creator. And this one and the Outgrow Yourself just felt like something I wanted to have. I don't necessarily intend to use them together, but I don't know. I liked it, I wanted it, so I grabbed it. Okay, next deck that I brought in, I think I mentioned this in the last video or one before, is the Pocket of Vines Tarot. I saw this on Project Refined Life's, Annette's channel. She went over it. Again, it's a really cool deck. It's very brown. It's funny. Lisa Pepez posted a video yesterday. It was her mass market. I can't remember the title of it, but she went over some mass market decks, some favorites of hers. And she pulled out the Magic of You Oracle, and she said the reason she waited so long to get it was because it was very brown. And I just felt that with this deck. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I will probably be selling it. Okay. Next up is the Oracle of Roses. I brought this in to use with Little Bird Tarot specifically, but I think this will be really pretty to use with my Forager's Daughter when I'm doing ancestor work. Because I did not realize when I bought it, it's an archetype deck. I literally didn't know. I just liked the pictures. I liked the, you know, the vintage look, and so I purchased it. I used to have the, what was it? The botanical, I can't remember. It was a botanical deck, very similar layout to this, but it had the name, it was Botanical Inspirations maybe? It had the name of the deck on the back, and I just couldn't deal with that, so I have since rehomed it. But I'm pretty excited that this is an archetype deck because I had the Pocket Archetypes by Kim Krans and sent it to someone who was looking for it specifically. It wasn't my vibe. This is more my vibe. And since it's archetypes, it's a win-win. So next up is, this was a total impulse buy. Someone had this on their Instagram. I want to say it was 42 Tarot. I could be wrong. I don't remember. We had a whole conversation about it, but, or at least I remember commenting. I don't know if it was a whole conversation, but this deck was $10, and I think it still is $10 on Amazon. I looked a couple days after it arrived. I just wondered if it was just a special for Prime Day or something, but yeah, it's still $10, and I will tell you, I am thrilled with this deck, and here's why. It's got a nice box. Everything fits in nicely. Again, like, this is much better than that other one with the weird insert. Like, this is better, right? Is it still perfect? Not necessarily, because you pick it up and things are going to fall out, but this is better than the White Newman. Here's why I'm excited about this deck. Now, if I had thought ahead, I would have found the exact cards, but this deck is witchy, and I'm excited that it's witchy because I had no idea. I just thought it was another botanical deck. It was, you know, it's pretty. It's kind of got that vintage vibe. It's got vintage coloring. How about that? And it has my favorite thing in that the backgrounds are different colors, which just makes me feel tingly inside. I don't know. I love that. It's so pretty. Anyway, so this deck talks about, it brings up magic with a CK. It talks about cauldrons. Talks about, so let's see, magical, it talks about magic in general, magical remedy for emotional protection and defense against psychic attack. It brings up folklore. It talks about inner child. I was reading the reviews, I believe it was on Amazon. Someone brought up the fact that, I think she said it mentioned perimenopause, which I know a lot of you are not interested in that, but some of you probably are. So I'm excited to dig into that concept, with this deck. It talks about deities, Hecate, Aphrodite, Circe, Cleopatra, which I guess I said deity when I was looking at Cleopatra, but you know what I mean. Let's see. Oh, the mandrake, often used in magic, so CK, as a poppet. It's a very cool deck. So at the intersection of folk magic and kitchen witchcraft, this magical pepper can stimulate and ignite spells and rituals of all kinds. Like, OMG. Surprise deck of the year. Literally, I'm thrilled to have this. And for $10, yeah, I don't even care that it's warped. I mean, it does a thing where I don't mind the split so much. The warp is pretty obvious. I think the biggest thing that bugs me about the warp is that when I want to take a picture on Instagram, it has shadow under it where, if it was going to lay flat, it wouldn't. So that's kind of a bummer, but I don't even care. I love it. I'm thrilled. I'm excited to have it. And you know what else I like about this? Quickly. I can use this for summer. I can use it for spring. I can use it for fall because it has these muted tones. I probably wouldn't use it for winter necessarily if I was trying to go seasonal. But this is it. I'm amazed. I'm thrilled. So it does not have write-ups obviously for each card in the little guidebook because that's on the back of the card. But it talks about making syrup, a tea, a tincture. There's an herbal glossary. This person did their homework. And I'm thrilled to have it. It talks about an altar. I mean, the description on Amazon mentions nothing of it being witchy or magical of any type. So, thrilled. It's by Chronicle Books. Cannot rate it high enough. Okay. Last deck that I brought in for July was the Solitary Witch Oracle. I went back and forth on this one. The artwork reminds me very much of Terry Foss's. I'll try to insert a picture here. I don't remember the name of it. I have that one as well. And I love it. It feels very nostalgic to me. Very, my 20s. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know why. Maybe that just that artwork was popular, 20 some odd years ago. But I love the backs. Let's be honest. I bought it for the backs. Not just that, but that was a big pull. And it's so sweet. And I just really liked the art. So as I've said before, sometimes even if I think, gosh, they're matte. I believe this is a Blue Angel deck. So the cardstock is a little, it's not rose petal, but it's very matte. So it's a little sticky, which, I don't love, but yeah. The artwork's gorgeous, and I feel like this would be a great winter deck. Like a lot of them, they're very fall-ish. You've got your pumpkins, and the witch feels fall-ish. But with the black borders and just the dark backgrounds, I can see myself using this in winter, and I just think this is so pretty. I just love it so much. I mean, yeah, I have zero regrets. I'm not sure how I'll use it. I like that it has the sabbats, within the deck. And there's a card that long story short, I had an extra card, which was the Crone in Winter. Let's see if I can find it here. And I had that one on my altar before I purchased this deck. I had that card on my altar, and I just, again, there's not a lot of decks geared towards people, women, I suppose, past like their 30s. There are, I'm not saying there's none, but there's not a lot. And so when I find one and I like the artwork and I feel like it could fit somewhere in my practice, I'm probably going to get it. So yeah, that's this one. And I'll be honest, like she looks like she's about 22. Right? Am I wrong? So that's a little bit annoying, but the concept itself is beautiful. It feels wintry. She's got gray hair, so we're just going to pretend that she has wrinkles and that she's a crone. That is the last deck I brought in this month. So next up, let's talk about the decks that I used, because that is a completely different pile. And we're going to start with my July deck. This is the deck I used specifically for July. I don't use this. I haven't used it for anything other than in July. I'm not opposed to using it for other things, but it just feels like my July deck, so that's all I've used it for. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I've mentioned it before, I work with decks more monthly than seasonally, but I also like it to feel seasonal within that month. So we've probably mostly, all of us have seen this. Although I always say we've probably all seen this, but I know when I first started watching TarotTube, I did not know that there were so many decks, and I loved seeing all of the new indie decks. Like I was on a mission to see all the decks, I wanted to know about every single one that was available. So I'll just do a quick little flip here just in case you're brand new. And if you are brand new, I'm so excited for you because, yeah. Which I think that's part of why I enjoy bringing in decks, is because it kind of captures that that early stage energy, right? Oh, I just love this one. Of feeling excited and like trying to figure stuff out and trying to decide how you wanted your practice to look and how you wanted to use tarot and what that meant for you. And yeah, so there you go. This one's gorgeous. So the way I used it this year, which is unique from any other year, is that I did pair it with something. I haven't paired this in the past because I don't have anything else that I think, at least in my head, that I think would pair well with it. However, on that note, very quickly, I will say, just as a quick shout out, the creator of this does have, or did have, I believe it's been funded already. I'll link it below just in case it hasn't, but the creator of this deck just created an oracle deck. I decided against it. I did have it backed for a minute, but you know, a couple days later I backed out. I love this, but I don't need a second deck that has the same vibe and colorway and energy of this necessarily. So all of that aside, instead I used with my Joie de Vie tarot, which if you had said, hey, try these two decks together, I would have been like, no thank you, those don't look good together in my head. However, for some reason, at least to me, not only do they look beautiful together, but they speak so well with each other. And I used this multiple times throughout the month. I got the best messages, journal worthy, you know, and I couldn't be happier. So I feel like, dare I say it, this might be a bonded pair. They just seem to speak to each other, and I love that. I won't get into, like, you know, interpretations right now because I think that would make our video extremely long. Why do I say our video? The video? My video? I mean, you're here, so I guess it's our video. Okay, anyway, I'll stop here. I have posted a couple pictures of spreads that I did on my Instagram if you're interested in seeing more. Something else that I did this month, quick side note, is that I sat down and I planned out I wrote out every single Wednesday through the rest of the year, because that's generally when I film. And I started filling in what videos I wanted to do, because in addition to my monthly wrap-ups, I have been getting a lot of really great suggestions on videos that you guys want to see me do, or videos that I've seen other people do, VRs, and it started to feel a little bit in my head too much, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start writing them down. So now I kind of have a schedule out, which is great because I don't have to put a ton of like thought or time in coming up with these ideas, which is a relief, which makes this process a lot more enjoyable for me. So, all right, that's the last one. I just love these two together. So tell me you're impressed. I want to hear it. Do you like those two together, or do you disagree with me? Let's hear it. Okay, next up on decks that I used this month, as soon as I get these guys put away, love this deck. Today's Wednesday. I think I'll be posting this on Thursday, so I'm actually, you know what, on that note, I'm going to do today a spread. I'm going to do this. This is the Tarot Spreads by Barbara Moore. Later today, I'm going to do this Guiding Star spread, which looks super cool. Super cool. Who talks like that? I don't know. This is, make sure I'm on the right one. Yeah. So if you want a screenshot, it's this right here. And this is the little write-up that she writes, if you're interested. I'm excited. So I'm going to use that as my my July wrap-up spread later today, and I'm pretty excited about it. Okay, those two are aside. Next that I used this year, I bought this last year. Pretty sure it was last year. I don't think it was the year before. Smoke, Ash, and Embers by Three Trees Tarot. Everything will be linked below, blah, blah, blah. I bought this last year and I never really used it. I had Oak, Ash, and Thorn. I've had that one for a couple of years. And I wanted to have all of hers because I love Adam Ohler's artwork so very much. All of that aside, I didn't really know where this fit in, but this year I decided that it felt like a summer deck. So I pulled it out and used it as kind of an in-between. So even though I have a July deck, it doesn't mean that that's the only deck I use for July. I feel like I have my month deck and then I have summer decks to supplement, right? So this would be a supplemental summer deck. And I love it. It's really pretty. It feels summery, where the Oak, Ash, and Thorn feels more fall. This one feels summery to me. And it gives great readings. It's a great reader. It speaks clearly. There's no mystery behind it. You know, and it feels like, I don't know, it feels like having a chat with a friend over a cup of tea, you know? Like, it's just telling me what I ask it a question and it just tells me, and it's like, here's what I think. And then it asks me, what do you think? Which I love because I think that's important in a conversation. The back and forth, I feel like it gives as much as it takes, right? So, does it take anything? I don't know. Anyway, that is the Smoke, Ash, and Embers. There's the backs. I'm sorry, I've not been showing backs. My bad. I will try to do that going forward. I've just got a few left. Okay. Next is the Woodland Wardens. This was another beautiful one that I pulled out. I think I only used it once this month, but since getting this, I don't use it that often, so I'm okay with just using it once. My hands feel sticky. Uh-oh, what did I get? Is it sticky? No, it's just my imagination. Okay. Anyway, I don't use this one a ton, but it's beautiful. I love it. I love that it has a little keyword plus, you know, what it has, what it is on the card plus the keyword. Sorry, I'm not holding these up very close. And yeah, it's a great reader. Simple, straightforward, pretty. It feels a little bit more end of summer going into fall. It doesn't really feel fallish to me. So July, August, I'll probably pull this one out again this month to use. And that's the Woodland Wardens. What can I say? We've seen it, probably. If you haven't seen it, this is it by Jessica Rue. There's a ton of walkthroughs of this deck online. Definitely check them out if you're curious. All right, so Playful Heart Tarot. I adore this deck. As I mentioned before, I bought it with the intention to use it for inner child work. Also, this deck smells like Play-Doh to me. For the longest time, I thought it smelled like chocolate, like fake chocolate. Not in a bad way, in a good way, but no. It smells like Play-Doh. I wish you could smell it. Also, I purchased the edges colored this way. The artist or someone they know did it. Okay, I'm getting off topic. Bought this for inner child work. Did not work for me that way. This reminds me of my childhood. The colors, the art, it feels very 70s, early 80s. I'm not sure why. I feel like there was like a baby doll or something that had kind of these faces. Anyway, regardless, doesn't work for me for inner child work. However, last year when I started going to therapy regularly, I started using this deck before and after therapy to sort of process what we had talked about, or if I pulled it out before my session, it was to... Generally, if I pulled it out, it was because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to talk about in therapy that day. And so this sort of guided me, prompted me with some questions that I could take with me to ask my therapist, which was really nice. And I've since changed therapists, and last week when I went, I told her, that I use tarot and what I use it for, kind of all the things, right? And she asked me if I'd used it recently, for therapy. And I was like, no, I haven't really pulled it out. And so it was kind of my homework, you know, to come home and do a tarot spread, ask questions about our session. And so I did, and it's perfect. This is my therapy deck. So again, not every single one of my decks has a job, but it's nice when I have a specific thing I want to do and a deck fills that spot. So I don't have to like wonder, what deck do I want to use, you know, for this particular thing that I want. It's nice that this is my therapy deck. This is the deck I go to when I have a question about therapy, whether it's before or after my session. I love that it has a lot of emotion in it because, you know, therapy is emotional. So yeah, thrilled with that for this month. This will probably be one that you'll see reoccurring going forward because, again, you know, therapy is a pretty regular thing for me. So next up is the Cowgirls and Aliens. I feel like I bought this right at the end of June. So I think I featured this in last month's wrap up. And I only used this once or twice. I don't think I paired it with anything, if I remember correctly. But it's nice to have a little message, like at the beginning of day, before I go to work. It's nice to have kind of a lighthearted, this is what you can focus on today. This is the energy you should take with you to work today. That's what I use this for. And then I'll just set it on my altar. And then at the end of the day, I like to come back to it and reflect on whether it was helpful, if, you know, what the card said was reflected in my day. And then I can journal about it. You know, if I don't have something else specific I want to journal about, it's nice to have. So this is another deck that I would say is not really my style, blah. I probably should just stop saying that. Like, maybe this is my style. Didn't used to be. But I enjoy it very much. The ladies are beautiful. They look like, you know, they have regular bodies. They're different colors. Obviously, there's purple, but you've got light skin, brown skin, all the skin. So I like that. Okay, I have 2 more decks that I've used this month. Thank goodness I keep a list because I would never remember all of these. All right, next is the Carrot Tarts Tarot. It does have a different name on Etsy. I will absolutely make sure I link this below because I don't want anyone to not know what it is. This is another one that has multiple colored backgrounds. I am obsessed. This feels very late summer to me. I mean, I guess it could fall into spring as well, but for whatever reason, this feels late summer. This might pair nicely with my Playful Heart. I don't know. I'll have to try that sometime. But I enjoy this one. I like how cheeky it feels, and I like how simple it is because it is a pip deck. I don't have a lot of pip decks that I use. I do have a couple, but I don't use them. A couple others, but I don't use them regularly or often. This one I like. I have this one hanging on my nightstand. I think the colors are nice. That's what it is. It reminds me of summer nights. It kind of has that like dusky, warm, you know, just mowed lawn kind of feel to me. So, and it's, I would say it's a sharpshooter. It's not going to beat around the bush. It's not going to, you know, soften the answer just to make me feel better. It's just going to tell me exactly like it is. For example, yesterday I pulled it out and shuffled it, and I don't do reversals. I don't shuffle in reversals. But if a reversal comes out when I've shuffled the deck, I always read with it because I feel like that's important to take note. And I got the reversed 3 of Cups, and when I tell you that was relevant to my current situation, I won't even say about what, because it doesn't matter A and B. I can't give all the things away, right? It felt very relevant, and I appreciated that. It was like, here, I know this is what you should be doing, and it calls me out when I need to be called out. So, okay, last deck that I used this month. Thank goodness, right? is the Tarot of Strange Antlers. The title is French. That is the loose translation. I don't remember how to pronounce the title. It'll be down below, just like all the others. This one is a repurchase for me, which I try not to do. I said that last time. This is, I think, the second. Is it the second? I know Herb Crafters was one. I feel like maybe there was a third. I don't know. Doesn't matter. This one's beautiful. I couldn't resist. When I first rehomed it, it was because A, it was in French, and B, I didn't know tarot very well, so it was frustrating to, like, I didn't know what I was looking at. Like, obviously this is, you know, Six of Pentacles, Seven of Cups, Three of Wands, and I know what that means, right? Whereas before I just didn't. Some of these I do still have to look up in the guidebook because I don't know what that means, and I still don't know my Roman numerals. I should, you know, I need to make like a flashcard set of Roman numerals and study them so I know them. I only have to learn up to 21, for crying out loud. You would think. I do forget sometimes. I'm pretty sure this is, I think this is the Knight. Yeah, Cavalier is Knight. But generally speaking, I'm okay with it. It's beautiful. I don't mind popping into the guidebook to look at what the title is. And this is another one that feels very late summer evening kind of vibe. Zero regrets repurchasing it. None whatsoever. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I do remember thinking, like, as I was packing up my original deck, I was like, should I do this? Should I be doing this? I love the artwork. And I'm like, I can't keep a deck just because I like the artwork. Silly me, because yes, you can. This is the bag that it comes with, which is great. The box is fine. I do have the box put away. It comes with a nice guidebook, which is, oh, here's the name of the deck, because it's on the guidebook. And I just tabbed where each, because it's organized by number versus suit. So you'll have the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, and so on. So I've just tabbed it like that. And so yeah, that's that one. And that is my last deck that I used this month. So next, let's get into books that I read. There's only 2, I believe. And the first book was an Audible book, Sea of Ruin. This one I heard about on Tara's channel, which she is Cozy Core Craft, I believe. And I've been reading, you know, I used to read a lot of romance. I don't read a lot anymore for multiple reasons, but I was kind of in the mood for a romance, and I've read a couple romances this year period. This one was so much fun. It was so much fun. Yes, it's your typical 20-year-old. The tropes are very cut and dry. You know, you do A, B, and C, and you get 1, 2, and 3. It was very, I don't want to say predictable. It was a great story, 100% great story. Definitely recommend. I give it 5 stars. It was enjoyable. It was funny. I liked the heroine. She wasn't your typical weak heroine. She's a pirate, so you don't get to be a weak heroine if you're a literal pirate. Essentially, I'm not very good at like book write or book explanations. Basically, she goes through some trials and tribulations when she's 14. Then that's when she becomes the pirate. And basically, reading the back of the book will be your best bet. However, I think the back of the book explains it in that 2 men basically love her and they will go to no lengths to save her. And there was a bit of a surprise twist at the end that I did not see coming, which I adored because it was something new. I've never, in any book, and maybe it's just my lack of diverse books that I read, but I've never read a book that had this happen. So that was really cool. And the fact, I mean, so the surprise was cool, but also the resolution, that happened, I really, really liked it. So if you're okay, if you have an open mind, and you like a little bit of a twist at the end, I highly recommend. The only thing I would say, trigger warning for sure, there's rape scenes. There's a couple of them are kind of a lot, and I'm not triggered by it, but if you are, it's probably not a good book for you. If you're okay with that, or if you're okay with reading that, highly recommend. It was so good. Anyway, let's move on. So the next book that I read was The Long Walk Home by Will North. This one was like a palate cleanse for me. This was a nighttime book. So in the past, I have never read multiple books at the same time, but this year I have been. So I've been having an Audible book going. I have a nighttime book going. And then usually I have some kind of tarot or esoteric something or other that I'm like studying. And I use that term loosely. And then I've also been like buddy reading with a friend. So we chose a book and I've been reading that together. So I've got multiple books going. This felt like this was my wind down at the end of the night, read 10 minutes and go to bed kind of book. I think I gave this 3 stars on Goodreads. It was a little bit cringy, a little bit cheesy, but you know what? Sometimes it's nice to just read these cozy, cringy, cheesy books. Sometimes it's just nice, and I didn't mind it. It was enjoyable. The author is male, which, how do I say this? I have zero issue with, I don't care, who you are as an author. But I feel like when a man writes a romance that's geared for a woman, it comes off differently than when a woman writes it. And it's not a bad thing. It's just something that sometimes feels a little bit uninformed. I don't know how else to say it. So all that being said, I recommend it. It's a short read if you need something just kind of quick to sit on the couch or wind down at the end of the night. It was a romance. It was sweet. I didn't mind it at all. Those are my 2 books that I finished in July. I'm currently reading more right now, so we'll get into that next month. But on the book note, not even recently, so my Instagram, when I first started it a few years ago, I believe it was 2021, if I remember correctly, I started it as a planner account, a happy planner, decorative account. Sorry, there's like cat fur on this. Oh well. And so everybody that I followed was a planner, decorative planner account. And I had a ton of fun with it. But as you know, if you follow me on Instagram, I've since merged into a tarot account with an occasional journal kind of planner type post. But generally speaking, it's a tarot account. But I still follow a lot of those same planner accounts. And one of them, I will link her because I believe I know she has a YouTube channel on here as well. She does these amazing book journals, and I look at them and I think I want to do that. And I've kind of always wanted to do a book journal, but I like the simplicity of Goodreads because I could just go in, mark it as read, give it however many stars. And if I want to leave a review, I can. Most of the time I don't, but I love the idea of a book journal. My problem is that if I buy a book specifically for book journaling, I feel obligated to write, every time I finish a book. And a lot of times there's a lot of space that I don't have time or energy. I just don't wanna, right? So I've shied away from those kind of books. This lady, I don't remember her name because I think it's like AMJ and then her last name. So I'm not sure her name. But this lady does it in a different way. She just has a dot grid journal and she draws out, I think it's like 6 or it's like 3 or 4 and then 3 or 4 entries. So she draws them out and then she prints out little pictures of the covers and she writes in, she's got like stamps and she does the whole thing. And I love that, but even that felt like a little too much. It was too much effort. I'll be honest. If I can't just get in there and quickly jot it down, I'm probably not going to do it. So I figured out a way. I went onto Etsy and I found someone who has printable book trackers, right? Now, again, a lot of those they don't work for me. The format, they don't work for me because there's too much writing space. It's too much, it's not simple enough. All of that being said, so I found one that I liked. However, I could not get it to print for me correctly. So Canva to the rescue. If you have never used Canva, I highly recommend it. If you are an artistic person, if you like to design things, highly recommend it. I pay for Canva. I pay for the premium. It's totally worth it because I use it all the time. But yeah, so I took her I guess her template, and then I put it in Canva and I created my own template over top of it. Mostly I just used as like a pattern, right? So I knew where the title needed to go. I knew where I wanted to have the writing, etc. So anyway, I revamped it. So this is mine, and I'm thrilled with it. So obviously I just made this the other day. These are all the books I've read this year. So I will come back and fill them out. I just used this. This is what I've been using, but it got a little messy and it wasn't quite what I wanted. It's cute, but I'm running out of space, which means I have to use two. And anyway, I loved her concept, the gal on Instagram. So I borrowed that idea. This is what I'm doing. Again, I used the Canon Ivy, and I used a collage. Like, you can select collages within the app for that printer. And there's one that has 4 pictures. So 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. And that was perfect for these sizes. So that's kind of my goal. And I think this will be fine. Like, I can come in and write a little thing, and I can just write a little, I liked it, I didn't like it, main character was stupid, whatever I want to write. And so I added these in just as more incentive, like for less writing space, which works well for me. And I'm excited. And the cool thing about this, if you've never seen Happy Planner before, is that you can pull these out. So at the end of every year, I can pull these out of my planner. This is my daily work planner. I can pull these out and create my own journal, and I can make it, if I've got 1 page for the year, I can just add it to the back of my book journal, and there's no pressure to fill out a book every year or whatever. So this, I think, is going to be perfect, and I'm so excited. And I love projects like this where I can come in and work a little bit on it, right? And so I just printed these at home. So it's black and white. My printer's just black and white. But if, later next year, whatever, I want to print them in color, I can, and I'll just take them to, this was a mistake. Noticed that, but I decided not to let it bother me too much. But yeah, if I wanted to do it in color, I could just take it to Office Depot and have them print it. These could be color images, but for now, I like it black and white. It's simple, it's straightforward. It lets me highlight the book itself, and yeah, I'm excited to do it. So, also, I did make one little edit. I went back into Canva to make an edit, but these were already printed, so again, I'm just letting it go. I added 2 little boxes, check boxes. The thing that I added here, I remembered, I didn't even check, is a little checkbox that says either audio or book. So, not that it's important, but it's fun to know, that this one was an audio, So anyway, that is my entire month, I believe. That's on my list of things to talk about. So, we are just over an hour now, so I am going to go eat lunch and enjoy my day off because I have the entire house to myself until 5 p.m. and that is a rare occurrence. So I will catch you guys next week. I will talk to you later. Bye.